Are we live?
All right.
No, just kidding. All right, yeah, thank you for joining us. I know it's late notice. We didn't put anything up really to kind of let you know we were going, but schedule hasn't changed. Um, Ryan Estep with me as always is Mr. Roby Watson
Hello.
and Mr. Nathan Connor. It's
What's up?
it's episode 12, season 2.
Right. How many episodes do we have in season one?
15.
Like
Do we have 15 really?
Yeah.
Wow.
we're hitting the end game
Damn,
here.
dude. That's
But
that's more than I thought.
we don't
It's
really
more than I remember doing.
have right. You know, with
I was like 15 goddamn time. Really? All right.
we should have a best of.
I think we should call it the least worst of though.
The least worst of. Yeah.
These are our least shitty moments.
Just highlight like five. It would be a 5-minute video.
Right. Most of it would be static.
Oh,
Thank God there was a couple moments of blank silence. We got some relief from these innate idiots babbling on.
is this over yet? Oh, we don't have a whole lot really to talk about tonight. We wanted to get on Interstellar. I really enjoyed it. A lot to talk about, and the internet sphere is going mad over whether or not the science is real and stuff like that. And everybody's a scientist, and everyone's a master at it, and can figure it all out. But
Yes, the internet allows me to be right at everything I do.
exactly, exactly. Let's see what else we have. Valkyria. Is it Valkyrie or Valkyria?
Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah, Valkyria Chronicles. Yep.
Yeah, we've got some of that going on. That just recently came to, like it was re-released on Steam, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's an old PS3 game from back in the day, but recently got ported to PC for the first time, and I'm enjoying replaying it all over again.
Yeah, I hear it's really good. I mean, Roby's
It's
playing
really
it.
enjoyable. It really is.
Well, we got news and stuff too. It's not really a whole lot of news. I mean, Microsoft had issues earlier in the week where I thought it was Bungie and their game Destiny, but apparently it was the Azure servers were having issues. It was causing all sorts of problems all over everything. So
Oh, Microsoft.
yeah, shouldn't have spent all that money on Minecraft. Just saying.
That's exactly what it was. God, let's tell the Destiny people that's what it was.
Right.
I'm
You
sure
know
they'll
what's
accept
screwing up? It's Minecraft.
it.
They spent all the money for the budget to fix your servers on Minecraft.
It was funny because people tried to start complaints about Destiny and the issues and the low frame rate and stuff like that that was being caused by it. And the PS4 players, or yeah, the players were just having a field day making fun of them and stuff like that, talking about this is kind of what we've had and stuff. And it was funny to kind of read that.
Well, it's the funny part is like the PS4 players are just getting more fuel. It's not like
Right.
they need something to make fun of the Microsoft people about. They already have so many exclusives. It doesn't even matter.
Man, see, here's what I say too to PS4 players is like, well, yeah, that's true, and it's really nice of you to share your credit card with everyone else on the internet too. Okay, you guys are a really tight knit community, and that's great. Okay, I mean Sony's proven they're no better in reality than anyone else either. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Console peasants, who cares? Let them fight amongst themselves.
Well,
Console
the thing, like one of the things that they're doing though is like Sony is getting DLC content that is pretty much exclusive to them for like 9 months.
Right.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous. Like, I don't know.
Destiny's a prime example of that. Like they've got an exclusive on, and I think a themed PlayStation 4, Destiny themed PlayStation 4, and the Xbox people don't
Which is
really
fucking.
like
It's
that.
just white.
Yeah, it's Chatterwhite, sir.
Oh
It's
God.
the only shader that you get for beating the easy raid. It's Chatterwhite.
Sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to insult it by thinking it was just regular white or off white. It's what, chatter white? Is that what it is?
Chatterwhite.
Sorry.
Correct. Yes, Chatterwhite.
My bad. My bad. Clearly that makes it worth it.
Yeah, well, I guess Xbox people can get their special white Xbox One when what is that? First of the year, I think, is when.
Right
Yeah,
after Christmas. So
right. Pre-order now, kids. Ask mommy
uh,
and daddy for it.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
I want to meet the guy who has bought like all the themed Xbox consoles over the course of the years. He's probably got like two or three Call of Duty, maybe a Battlefield one here and there, a Dragon Age one
Who
maybe. I don't know.
who buys themed Xboxes anyway? Like, who is it that doesn't have an Xbox 360 and goes out and be like, you know what I need? There's an Xbox 360 that says Call of Duty on it.
Halo Edition.
Right. You know what I mean? I'm like, who? Where's the market for these? I don't get it.
Collectors.
Go.
I'm
Yeah.
like I'm a single dude with money to burn, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, okay, you're a single dude with money to burn, but you're also a single dude with money to burn who isn't a console peasant.
True.
Right, but what's the point of having like more than one console?
The collectors, man. The point is having it. That's the point.
I'll never understand collectors either, so let's just move on, because I don't... Like, if you own it, but you don't do anything with it, then who cares?
Listen, they can't feel good about themselves unless they walk into their living room and go, no one has this but me, fuckers.
Yeah. They just sit there, they show
But
off with
but
pride.
everyone else does. Or could. They're not stupid as you. Oh, God. It's not like you need something special to earn it. You just went to the store and paid more money than other people were willing to pay. I don't know. It's whatever. It is what it is. People will be people, I suppose.
Oh. Let's get into Valkyria Chronicles. Tell me a little bit about that. I haven't really had a chance to sit down and play it. I'm really interested.
Well, Valkyria Chronicles is I'm going to call it an RPG strategy game, sort of. It's kind of like watching a hand-drawn anime for like 10, 15 minutes at a time as you like go through the episodes and watch the story unfold.
Okay.
And then after you watch about 10 or 15 minutes of story episodes, some of which are fully acted, some of which you have to button through. You know what I mean? Some of them like are actually just short movies, and then some of them are actually like just reading and talking. All of them are fully voice acted though, and at least the English sub voice acting isn't horrible.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
So you meet all these interesting characters. They do a really good job with the story. They do a good job making you care about these other characters. And then after you've watched that for about 15 minutes, you play a strategy battle where you have a variety of different units. I think there's 5 different types. You have like scouts who do obviously scout type things. They move quick. They have light armor. They carry rifles. You have engineers, which do engineer things. They repair vehicles. They carry extra ammo. They're basically a support class. They also carry rifles. Snipers, self-explanatory. Shock troopers who carry your machine guns and shoot motherfuckers.
I need an explanation on a sniper.
Snipers are doctors. They're a specialist kind of doctor who specialize in treating snipe bites. And snipes are a serious problem in the world of Valkyria Chronicles.
Well, here's the thing: when they win in a snipe fight or they lose in a snipe fight, the other team's sniper will run up and poop on the chest
Right.
of the fallen enemy. Yeah.
Yep.
The old Cleveland steamer.
Yep. So, so snipers, shock troopers who are basically like your frontline infantry. They carry machine guns. They shoot people, and then you have lancers who are basically like literally lances that shoot rockets out the front of them.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but
they're basically heavy units.
Right, they're your heavy anti-vehicle. They're anti-vehicle infantry.
Interesting.
But you also have vehicles.
Yes, you also have tanks, too. And you're fighting other vehicles, stuff like that, and the enemy, and you do a variety of different missions. They put you in a variety of different like setups where you're trying to take out the enemy camps or take out the enemy things, and they give you other like obstacles. They throw other obstacles in there. Like I recently completed a mission where you have to use like smoke grenades from your tank to block out these turrets that you can't kill from just literally murdering your people. Because there's no way they're making it through there without the smoke.
Yeah, the one of my favorite things about the game is that, I mean, playing the game itself, it has a very hand-drawn anime feel to it the
Yeah.
entire way through, even during the gameplay. It's actually one of the
Yeah,
best,
it's really
like,
beautiful, actually.
yeah, it's one of the best turn-based strategy games to take full advantage of the 3D space, and do
Oh, it
an
really does.
amazing job doing it. It does a fantastic job with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you like the battles are really good, and your different characters interact differently with each other. Like all of your, you can have a squad of up to 20 people at a time. Okay, and I think there's a total of like 40 or 50 that you can choose from to be active in your squad at any one time. Now normally you can only take 10 into battle with you at a time, but you can have 20 on your active roster. So you start off, you pick the 10 to go into battle. Well, some of them are really friendly with each other, and so you can get more like group attacks with them. So there's a scout named Cherry and a shock trooper named Rosie, and the two of them are best friends. So if you take both of them and they're near each other, when one attacks, the other one will chip in and help out.
Okay.
So you sort of like set up your group to bring on your to bring on people who are friends with each other and stuff like that.
Right, for good combos.
Yeah.
That's an interesting little twist on that. I mean,
Yeah.
because what
Right.
is it? Is it not SOCOM? Was it SOCOM?
XCOM's what you're thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like that a little bit.
It's very much like XCOM, but deeper, I think, on some levels.
And more, it's far more showy in reality as well.
Yeah.
XCOM had a very static sort of camera angle, and this has dynamic camera angles when you're firing and when you're hitting guys and
Yeah.
shooting them. And it's also much lower tech. It's like World War I, II-ish type era.
Yeah. Well, it's
Oh,
basically
that's
like
cool.
World War II, like the beginning of World War II, because it's set in a magical land called Europa that looks very much like Europe, and you're very much like the Switzerland, where you're like there's two big superpowers and your nation sort of stays out of everything, while the Empire sort of blitzkriegs you with their tanks, and you're like, oh, that's not at all like the Nazis. These guys who dress like Nazis are not at all like Nazis, but
Yeah.
they're definitely Nazi-esque.
Yeah, they are, and but it is really well written, and there's some element of the, I don't want to say super tech, it's ancient tech, you know.
Yeah, there's some magic involved as well.
Yeah,
Is what it amounts to.
yeah, but that doesn't really come in near towards the end. In
Right.
reality. Yeah, but it's pretty
Yeah.
fantastic.
All of your people also have a variety of other abilities that make them better suited for some things than other things. Like some of them have an ability where like they love nature. They get nature lover ability. So when they're on grass, they have higher accuracy and higher defense. But when they're on streets or whatever, they're just normal. And there's some who have like allergies to pollen, so when they're on grass, they're worse. But everywhere else, they're cool. You know.
Yep.
So you kind of pick and choose amongst those things to see like, what's going to be best for this mission.
And in between missions, there's upgrading your units. So
Yeah.
they have different abilities, or hit harder, or what have you, in different ways, including your tanks too. You can also upgrade your tank parts, so maybe they can move faster or shoot farther.
Yep.
It's also there's a lot to do as far as like customizing your troops. Not only in their makeup of what, because from battle to battle you're customizing your troops depending on what the field is, who's friends with who, and then also lastly in between battles you're customizing your units to do more damage or whatever.
Yeah. You can choose to like, and what's nice is that you don't have to like individually outfit your units. You can if you want to. Okay, but you get like, okay, the shock troopers all have the same machine gun. Now, after you level it up so far through research, it splits off into 3 different versions of the machine gun.
Right.
One that's still getting the same like firepower boost. One that starts getting a status effector where their attack is like when you hit somebody with it, their attack goes down or their aim goes down. So that your negative status effector of some sort. And then like a third one that gives you like more range or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you want to mix and match your different people with different machine guns to do different things, you can.
Yeah, and there's
So,
there's also like cover and the board you're playing on is a huge factor in how you're going to play the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Getting to cover is hyper important. Hyper
Oh,
important.
it's really, really important. Yeah.
And even things like I'm kind of in a ditch, or I'm kind of in a hole here, or if you have the high ground, that all matters.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. Really well done. It's a lot of fun. You should
Sounds like-
definitely check it out at some point.
Yeah,
Well, and the variety of boards is fantastic as well. There's a great variety of like different maps to play on. You know, you got everything from like kind of a forest field type area, and then you have another one where you're basically fighting along cliff sides, and there's like large metal bridges connecting the different cliff sides and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you're shooting from literally across one part of the chasm, this base that's built into the side of the cliffside, over to the other cliffside where there's another base built into it, and there's bridges that connect them, and you can drive your tanks through. It's pretty awesome.
Yes.
This game sounds really fun.
And it's really fun, and it's beautifully like illustrated, like the whole thing, just really well done.
Yeah. My highest praises.
Right?
It was highest praises for this game. Honest to God, it's really, really good, really good, really fun. And I mean, it's honestly, I feel like it's a must-buy for anybody who likes turn-based strategy games, and it's a should-buy for anybody who maybe hasn't like really played them. And if you absolutely hate them, still give this one a go, because it's still really, really good. Yeah, the storyline itself is enough to keep you interested.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well,
Like there are some storylines that you have to watch some of the storyline to advance past, and you can always just open it up and skip past it if you want. And usually I'm that kind of guy in a lot of turn-based strategy games. I'm like, I don't care about the story, just take me to the next battle, let's fight.
yeah.
But I watch even the optional ones I watch in this game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's must-buy. Should
Because I'm super gay for Wilkin.
I
I love that guy. Oh, dude. And you know what else? Like, I'm realizing now, like, how before its time this game really was.
Really?
Because they have a lot of, like, one of the lancers you can get on your team, straight up transsexual.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
it's very progressive.
It's very progressive. Like people's sexual orientation all over the map.
Like, that's kind of interesting how they're able to find a way to put that sort of, character depth in a game like this. It's already got all these other things about it.
Yeah. But I love the transsexual lancer. I love that guy. Love him. He's always like, "What can I do for you, beautiful?" Like, oh, every time. What you can do is shoot a motherfucking tank. Let's do it.
But it's on Steam for $20.
Yep.
Yeah, I posted it to. I posted the link on the Facebook page for anybody who's interested. It's a direct link to the Steam site where you can pick it up and watch a gameplay video of it.
At $20, you're stealing this game.
Ooh. Well, you heard it here, folks. If you're not playing it, you should be. Why are we still talking?
Because we agreed to talk for an hour
Right.
and record it on the YouTubes.
We have to be
That's
nice.
why we're still talking.
It's a podcast.
Oh,
Why do you ask questions like that, Ryan? We've talked about this, okay?
I like to just think about having the illusion of some control over myself, but
over yourself or over others? Because I don't have control over either.
You're like that insane clown posse song. It's a miracle.
It's
miracle.
It's a miracle. Why is this happening? It's a miracle.
oh god. All right,
Who knows?
let
Yeah,
us
I'm
move
downloading,
on.
Dragon Age Inquisition. I was gonna get some hands on earlier this week, but I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah.
But next podcast, I'll have a lot of hands on. I'm really excited to jump into it and kind of play. I mean, after even though 2 was just so painful in regards to being in the same city, I still kind of had fun playing it, and I'm really looking forward to Inquisition.
I saw a funny name today for someone's character. I don't know if it's his origin name or what, but his character, like above his head, it said "Will fuck a dwarf."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Trish today at work about it, and she had some complaints about it, but
Oh, she's played
she
it.
said overall it's pretty good. Yeah, she's been playing it for a while.
Oh,
She's like 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours into it, something like that.
we should have had her
So
on this.
not a whole bunch. I thought about asking her to come on and talk about it or whatever, but
Well, maybe we can get her on
her main
next
complaint
time.
was that like supposedly she can't romance the character she wants to romance.
Which
She
is
wants to do
probably
a sweet lesbian romance, but the
oh.
chick she wants to romance is like for male characters only. But it also gave her a flirt option with that character. And I'm like, well, maybe they're just trying to make it realistic.
Right.
Like,
Time for some unrequited love.
right. Maybe you can just friend zone yourself instead.
Friend zone.
That would be awesome, actually. I would 100% play just for that opportunity.
Like,
You're such a good friend.
oh man, I'm really glad. Well, we can't have a relationship because it would. I don't want to lose a friend. I don't want to.
Right.
Right.
I would lose a friendship.
I feel like we're already close enough as a friend. I can talk to you about anything.
Exactly. Why would we want
None
to
of
mess
us
that
have
up?
been in the friend zone, have we?
Oh, the friend that doesn't exist, right? It's just a lie made up by nice guys
Right.
who aren't nice.
No, in that case, we need some, some male on male friend zoning. That's all.
Oh god, that would be the best thing ever.
Like, bro, I really.
I would just like I would play just to watch that happen.
Well, you know the best thing
I
about
really
male.
would.
You know the best thing about gay friend zoning is you still get laid.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it happened. What?
Okay, no, explain this to me.
Explain. Okay. Well, this is the
'Cause
information.
it's about the relationship and not about the sex.
Huh? Well, yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it. Fair enough then.
Like
But,
I know enough gay men, and I've talked to enough gay men to know that the sex still happens. You're just not in a relationship.
Fair enough. That makes sense to me on a certain weird level. It does make sense.
It's called a male level.
Right. Like instinctually, that just makes sense to me.
Wouldn't be that weird a concept, honestly,
Nope.
as a male. But, anyways, so okay, what else did you want to talk about, Ryan?
I mean, there's another Bill Murray movie out called St. Vincent. I think it came out at the end of October, honestly. We should really check that out and report back on it.
St. Vincent. All right, find it somewhere. We'll watch it.
Yeah. I'll have to look at
You know, I'm down to watch whatever, man.
See, I thought it was coming out, as in not out yet. So I was like, oh, we should definitely talk about, but
This-
it's already out.
You know what I kind of want to see is that new Jake Gyllenhaal movie. I don't like that guy, but his Nightcrawler movie looks like it might be interesting.
I thought so.
That's
I
the
thought so.
one where he's like becoming the first not really tabloid.
Paparazzi.
Yeah.
Well, he's not the first because he's learning the ropes from like other people who are already there doing it. But
Right.
I think it's more of like a murder thriller. Like he sees some shit he shouldn't see, and chaos ensues. He has a video of it at that point.
Well, I mean, from
It might be good. I don't know. Maybe it'll be horrible, but
Well, let's start this off by saying, at least by the previews, his character is not a nice person.
right. Does not seem to be a nice guy at all. So
and it really just from also in the preview I saw, like when he was talking to the news lady, she didn't care what was happening to who, just get her the news first, regardless
right.
of what it was.
Yeah, it sort of paints the whole industry like they're a bunch of bastards
Yeah.
without integrity. Hashtag Gamergate. Hashtag the struggle is real.
Well, I mean, since we're already on movies, we can go ahead and jump into Interstellar.
Let's do that.
Disclaimer: we're gonna spoil a lot, but at this point, if you hadn't already seen it, then that's your own fault. So
Yeah, I pretty much don't care about spoilers. So
Yeah.
if you're sad about it, you probably shouldn't watch this show.
Pause the video.
yeah, not
Go
really.
go watch the movie. Come back, and we'll tell you why it was good.
We'll tell you why it was. We'll tell you why you enjoyed what you just
Yeah.
saw.
You liked it, and we'll tell you why.
And the answer is pretty much going to be Matthew McConaughey. Dude's awesome in this
All
movie.
right.
Oh god, I was reading a thread on Reddit today where people were arguing about whether or not all right is a Matthew McConaughey thing or a Kevin Hart thing.
Ooh,
Uh,
okay. Okay.
I would argue that it's a thing that came long before either of them.
That may be true, but saying it like the way that Ryan said it is a Matthew McConaughey thing from Dazed and Confused,
Right.
Well,
which
yeah,
came
because
out years before Kevin Hart was
right.
anybody.
Well, and it's even Kevin Hart doesn't say it like Matthew McConaughey because Matthew McConaughey
Right.
is fucking Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Kind of has a unique way of speaking.
Yeah.
It calms you down when you hear him talk. It really does. Oh. Anyway, Interstellar. Christopher Nolan knocks it out of the park, in my opinion, with this movie. It's
Well-
visually... Oh?
Okay, no, carry on. Sorry.
We say visually stunning. I mean, I'm not an astrophysicist, so to me the science was awesome. Where it is, he had like the leading researcher in the field as the science. I don't really, not really liaison, but like what advisor?
Advisor, yeah.
Yeah.
Either way. Yeah. Just advise us on the science facts and if this makes sense.
And the premise is the Earth is used up basically. It's kind of like the Dust Bowl back in the day. Like what is it? Early 20s when that happened, like after the Great Depression. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of the same thing. There's a blight that thrives on carbon dioxide, which is changing the atmosphere of the Earth, essentially going to suffocate human beings, and it's also eating plants. Like it's a blight. It completely kills whatever it touches. And it started
Right.
off with all the other green vegetables, and when you catch up in the storyline, it's destroying okra, and then it's going to work its way into corn, which is
Yeah,
the
and
last
it's and this is where I start to have problems initially. Don't get me wrong, okay, I love this movie, but I'm the kind of person who, even if I love it, I will still take issue with certain things. Okay, so Blight killed off the wheat. Check. Why are we farming okra at this point? Like who has switched to okra because it's what?
Another source of food?
Right, but it's not like, I mean, okay, I get why people are growing corn because it can be used very similarly to how we used wheat before. You can make corn flour, etc., etc., etc. You don't make okra flour, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe I'm way off on this, and
Bro, this is the
feel
future.
free to correct me, but who's growing okra? Like, and what about everything else? What about soybeans? Soybeans out too? What about
really
beans
get
of any
into-
sort? Out?
My assumption on this is that just about anything else we could grow is already gone, and that's the reason why we're only touching on particular, forms of food at this point.
That's my assumption too, but it wasn't well explained, and it bothered me a little bit because I was like, okay, so the grass appears to grow fine. What happened to all the cows?
Right, we don't know. Yeah, they didn't really get into like. Yeah, you didn't see any real livestock anywhere, no?
Yeah, there are no cows, there are no sheep, there are no. What happened to all those guys? I mean, a lot of them are grain fed, granted, and maybe they all got slaughtered because there's no grain to eat, so we all just ate all the meat or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of like passed over history that seems questionable to me, but I accept it for what it is.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's not really that questionable in my mind because, not because they don't explain it, but because I don't feel like it needs to be explained. Like, there's any number of reasons this could all be the way it is. They just didn't tell us.
Right. But like I said, I accept it for what it is. I mean, accept it for the truth because they're just setting down background essentially. But it makes me wonder these questions that I'm always like, well, what about this? That doesn't make any sense. Why not this? Why not that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see where you need like a little bit more logic on the whole thing, more explanation.
Right. But they grow corn.
Right.
And Matthew McConaughey is the combine whisperer.
Well, I thought it was cool. Like it opens up and they're driving, all of a sudden they see this drone that doesn't really have any prime directive anymore. It's just flying because it still has good solar panels, and like they hack it and bring it down, and it just seems kind of like an electronic bird just flying around, but apparently it just goes anywhere. But anyway, it's kind of fun to see him like kind of hack into it. Talks about repurposing it for it to do its own part. He's kind of like the last engineer in the world.
Yeah.
He pretty much is.
Yeah. I liked how at one part they're talking about Murph, who's Matthew McConaughey's daughter, in the movie, and she's in school and she gets in trouble because she's trying to show the kids that yes, we did in fact go to the moon, but the government or whatever has already basically wrote that off, saying it was a piece of propaganda to bankrupt the Soviets. Which, I mean, that kind of makes
Man,
sense. But,
yeah, it really does, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you go, well, that could be true.
I mean, I don't want to get punched in the face by Neil Armstrong,
Right.
but that was a little bit. I saw
Well,
that. I thought, well, that's not really too
It's
far.
a great enough explanation that it introduces just enough doubt for you to go, maybe what I saw isn't what I saw. Because there's been enough times in your life where what you saw was not what you saw, that you're like, oh, well, now that there's another plausible explanation, maybe what I saw isn't what I saw.
Right. But I thought it was really cool how Matthew McConaughey, at that point, his character, he was done talking.
Yeah.
He was completely done. He was like, no, you have already given up on us as explorers, and
Yes. And what does he say? Specifically, he mentions the MRI
right.
that they don't have access to anymore that could have saved his wife.
And I also
What
think-
happened to all the MRIs?
Well, and I kind of get the impression that when everything started going south, they stopped producing electronics. Because, I mean, I kind of look at it as the father-in-law is kind of us. Because he says, when my day, when
Right.
I was young, they were
Right. John Voight would be like a child these days, I suppose.
Right. So, I mean, like a digital native, I guess you could even say. But I get the impression that...
Digital native?
Yeah,
Okay, carry on. Nope. Carry on.
It's a thing. We're all digital. We won't get started on that. No, but I kind of get the impression that when the blight comes and starts like killing everything off, like population decreases a lot. I get that impression from the movie. They don't really specify that Earth is like dying off. Like people are dying off now. They say that they're going to suffocate, they're going to die. But I kind of get the impression that like technology has been replaced for just trying to grow and trying to keep the species alive. It does kind of not make sense to me that they can't make
Right.
more.
Well, the weird technology gap doesn't make sense to me on some levels. It just seemed, while they were on Earth, it seemed weird.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like he's got a laptop, but they don't own a TV. Now maybe there's nothing to watch on TV. But I don't know. Just like the technology gap seemed weird. Like we were missing technology in weird places that didn't make any sense. But okay.
Well, first of all, we didn't really see any cities.
Right.
This was in a rural, at least it seemed like a rural, part of the country.
Right.
But and the way I see it, and don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with you. There are absolutely some technology gaps that just seemed a bit weird. But I think mostly it came down to, most of the world just started trying to grow food and maintaining their levels of food because we were literally just beginning to starve and die.
Right.
Although they never really showed that very well, they didn't really present that very well. They just said, this is what's happening. And the weird part is that there was a lot of time on Earth, right? There's a lot of time where the movie took place on Earth.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of it.
Right, that they could have showed that better, but they really just didn't do that. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of get the impression of kind of that whole thing when he's talking to the principal about his son and how they've already wrote his son off as he's not going to college because we've determined that he doesn't have the grades for it, and they called it the caretaker generation is what they called it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the big thing. The big thing wasn't your son's not going to college because he's too stupid. That's not what they were saying. They're saying your son's not going to college because he's an awesome fucking farmer, and that's what we need.
Right.
Like it wasn't. They looked at him going to college as we might look at somebody who's going to be a farmer nowadays. It was kind of a juxtaposition of a thought process.
To a certain extent, yes. But they also said that his scores weren't good enough to get him into college. Now, as it turns out, he didn't even want to go to college.
Right.
But McConaughey wanted him to go. And they said that his scores weren't good enough because then McConaughey got to have his great line about how it takes 2 numbers to measure your own ass, but only 1 number to measure my son's potential or whatever.
Right. Which, I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't saying he was too stupid to go to college. They were obviously saying that, but the implication wasn't that this is a bad thing. The implication was, this is fantastic. He's too stupid to go to college because he is an awesome farmer and he's going to be a good farmer, and that's what we need. You know.
Caretaker generation, yeah. The conviction that the teacher had when talking, kind of jumping back to the whole moon landing as a propaganda tool, the conviction that the young teacher had for that was like really strong too. Like you could really tell that. I mean, if that was in fact a real character, she would definitely believe that.
Yeah.
I thought that
Oh,
was
she
cool.
like she 100% believed it, or she believed it, that it was the best thing to teach the kids. Whether or not she thought it was really true, she believed that the next generation should definitely believe that it was.
Right, because the fact of the matter is they just saw it as we're beginning to starve to death. We don't want people's heads in the clouds, you know. We want people to focus on just making food and making the race survive.
Well, I liked how when they went and saw the baseball game, and it was the New York Yankees playing in a field,
Yeah.
and he's like, I remember when this used to be, grand, and he's like, I want a hot dog. That was awesome.
John Voight did a really good job in this movie too, I thought. As
Yeah, he
the
did.
grandfather.
I would agree with
Just
that.
enough to like kind of keep McConaughey grounded for the most part.
Yeah. Well, he was a great foil for McConaughey. Who was like all dreams and all that sort of stuff, and he was a great like just down to earth. You have to do what you have to do, kind of person.
Yeah,
Right.
and then I like the whole thing with Merv's ghost.
Yes, Murph's ghost, which is an important thing.
It is very important, yeah. Like her books are starting to fall off her bookshelf at random times, and she then realizes after a dust storm that it's actually binary. That something is communicating with her. I think, well, the dad figures out it's binary, right? Matthew McConaughey is the one that figures out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That eventually finds out that it's gravity, which takes us into a whole bunch because it gives them the coordinates for the remnants of NASA, which I thought was kind of funny. They could drive to the bunker of NASA.
It's a long drive though.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was, but then you get introduced to the artificial intelligence soldiers that
Yeah.
look like monoliths from 2001: Space Odyssey, but they're really
Love,
cool.
love those things.
Yeah,
Yes.
those things are awesome.
This movie had hands down the coolest robots, especially if you're just like a science dork like we are. Uh, it just had the coolest fucking robots ever.
Yeah, they were pretty awesome. Like at first you're like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah,
Like why does it walk like a graham cracker? Like why is a graham cracker like around? Seriously, what's going on with this robot? This is what we got. Like this is it. This is the best that we have. And then it's really not until they get to the fucking so much later in the movie that that you start to see how cool these robots actually are.
right.
But the robots had great personalities too.
They really did. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much what made them awesome.
Yeah.
Was their personalities and the different settings they had
Yes.
for things like sarcasm and stuff.
Yeah.
Honesty settings,
Yep.
trust settings, all this stuff. It was cool.
It was really good.
I actually thought it was kind of cool when they first brought him into the bunker, and McConaughey's like, "Look, I've seen this before. You guys are gonna kill us and bury us in the woods.
Right.
Nothing. And then he realizes that it's NASA. But I mean, even then, I mean, it's like as soon as they said, "Oh, we're NASA," he's like, "Oh, it's cool then. Yeah, whatever." I think
Right.
I would still be a little bit like, "You're still government, and we found something we shouldn't have. So
Right. Should I still be worried?
yeah, what's going on, really?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not entirely wrong. I just think that he was mostly taken aback by the fact that NASA still existed.
True. Which
Yeah.
I mean, when I can't think of the actor's name that explained it to him, but when
Michael Caine.
right, why can't I remember that? Anyway, Michael Caine tells him, we kept NASA, the government keeps NASA a secret because it's hard to justify, spending taxpayer dollars on space exploration when we're trying to put food on our tables. Which,
Yeah.
not wrong. That makes perfect sense. I think that, I mean, considering how people are up in arms about spending now, just imagine.
Right. Just imagine if things were actually that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be crazy. There'd be no way they'd be okay with it.
Yeah, he's working on a theory for gravity, which I'm not a scientist. Man, I don't
Right.
know much about any of this. All I know is there was a lot of numbers on a chalkboard, and he said it was over 20 years, and I was like, I believe him.
Right. It would definitely take 20 years to write all that on the chalkboard,
Right.
so that's 100% got to be true. There's a lot of chalkboards, man. But yeah,
ultimately,
no, the first thing they reveal, though, is that
right.
about 50 years ago, their time, a wormhole appeared out near Saturn. There's no explanation for why it got there. But wormholes are not naturally occurring, so they assume that some entity has placed it there.
Which is still a topic of debate, I might add.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, I read an interesting thing on Reddit. It's all theory crafting or whatever you want to call it, but somebody was saying that. Well, I'll get into it later once we.
Right.
Wait, did you say Therio?
I did.
Like the breakfast cereal?
Yeah.
Theorios.
I don't know where I got theory.
Did you eat your Theorios today?
Oh.
You have conspiracy Theorios.
Those ones have marshmallows. Like,
Yep. You got scientific Theorios, and they're like regular Cheerios. They're just good stuff.
conspiracy theorios have like little symbols of like the Illuminati and stuff.
Right.
Oh.
Oh god. Okay. Back on track. We can theorize about breakfast cereal at a different time. Oh god. So, yes. So they discover that there's a wormhole there. Michael Caine tells him that if he participates in the mission to go through the wormhole and find a habitable planet, by the time he comes back, they will have a way to lift all of these space stations that they're building on Earth up into gravity, up into the atmosphere, and send them through the wormhole to a new habitable planet and save everyone on Earth who's alive.
Plan A.
Plan A. And if that does not work, Plan B is to send up with them to the through the wormhole a colony's worth of fertilized eggs that they can grow, in vitro on machines and stuff for the first couple or whatever until they have enough to start a colony and then start building a viable human population from there at that point, once people start getting old enough to have other babies.
Stem cells.
Yeah.
So, oh my god, this movie's godless.
Well, I don't know if they're stem cells. I'm pretty sure they're fully
Stem cells.
Oh,
Okay.
were they? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they're already like inseminated. They're like these are eggs that are ready to go.
Oh, I thought they said something about
Yeah,
that.
no, they're ready to be hatched, and they have machines on board that can just hatch them and grow them for the 9 months, like incubate them essentially. So somewhere along the way, we found a way to cut women out of the picture entirely in the future by letting a machine grow kids instead, which is for the betterment of everyone. But carry on.
I'm not touching that.
No, it's simple. It's simple. Sex can now be,
Right, exactly.
carefree for women
Now,
as it is for men.
nobody has to be different.
Oh,
Nobody
that's
has to
bad.
have maternity leave. Nobody has to have anything. Everyone can just be the same. It's for the betterment of everyone.
True equality.
Fair enough.
True equality.
True equality. Yep. You can still have kids, and you don't have to take 9 months off of work to have them. Whatever. Anyway,
Okay.
moral of the story is the plan B is to take a colony out to there and grow it from scratch, essentially.
And well, the wormhole was also showing multiple different solar systems.
Well, yeah. Well, the wormhole takes them to one solar system in particular, I think. And there's one system that they're going to go to that has 3 possible viable planets. Now, they know this because they've sent probes through. And about 10 years ago, they sent a bunch of single-man missions to a bunch of these different planets
Right.
where they can send data back through the wormhole, supposedly to them, to let them know whether or not this planet actually has any potential or not. Because they can't tell a lot from like unmanned probes as to like what's going on there, because they can't get any video back through. They can just get like rudimentary signals. So they have 3 planets picked out in one system that's actually orbiting a giant black hole. But you don't find that out until they're through the wormhole. So McConaughey agrees to the mission. His daughter gets all angry at him because she's all like, "Why are you going to leave, Dad? You hate me, blah, blah."
Right.
Drama ensues.
It's a movie. It's a
Right.
movie.
then McConaughey leaves, and we have that scene matched up with the launching of the Ranger, so that we have like we're drawing parallels between him launching like away and changing his life and leaving.
Right. Now, we got to also touch on, we didn't touch on the very beginning, it shows Matthew McConaughey having a dream where he is a test pilot for the Ranger, and something happens to it, and he ends up crashing. Anyway,
Right.
So
Right,
NASA
so-
would just be like, hey, bro, you're a cool fucking engineer. Go ahead and pilot this here.
Right.
ship into
We need the
space."
Combine Whisperer to pilot our ship.
Right. He was
Right.
actually.
He was actually a NASA pilot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
which is why he was chosen. Also, we also want to touch on real quickly that, we talked earlier about how Murph's ghost was important. Well, one of the scenes before he leaves, she's trying to convince him to stay,
Right.
and she says, look, the ghost is telling you to stay. Whatever this is telling you to stay. Now, the whole reason why they found the NASA base in the first place is because the ghost gave them coordinates to the base.
Right.
And later then communicated in Morse code that he should stay,
Right.
Yep.
according to Murph. It's kind of played off as, this is Murph just making shit up to make her dad stay. But, so that's important to remember because it plays into the story later.
Yeah. So they launch into space, and I think actually that the scenes where they pick up the Endurance, which is a station that they've sort of been building out there to be part of the whole ship to go along with them, because it has like a bunch of like additional sections that they've already ferried up into space to wait out there for the other
Right.
Ranger to pick up, and they're going to take all that through to the next solar system that has all like the supplies and lab stuff and stuff they can put out there to help grow this initial colony wherever they end up at.
Artificial gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they use that as artificial gravity too.
Right, the scene where they start the spinning or whatever and using this gravity, very well done. And I liked all of their spaceship designs.
Right.
I thought it was a very realistic design.
Yeah, it really was.
Overall.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like appropriately cramped, and like because you don't want to conserve on space and all that sort of stuff. So it felt really good.
And it was cool that the artificial intelligence robots that you saw that were guarding the facility actually were key components in the space flight as well. Like they're up in space now with them.
Yeah.
Oh, they're absolutely extra characters. That's the thing to remember. The robots that you see are absolutely characters in this movie.
Yeah, TARS and Case.
Yeah. Tars and Case. Tars is actually one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Yeah.
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 Well, Case too, honestly. I liked Case a lot. He was a good foil for
Yeah. He really was.
TARS talks enough for the both of us.
Right.
Right.
And so they go into the sort of like cryo sleep of some sort for 2 years while they fly to Saturn. Because it still takes them 2 years to get there because we don't have any sort of like extra good space travel. You know what I mean? We haven't discovered anything beyond what we already know. So they just like boost and get some speed and head on until they hit the Saturn. You know?
Second star to the right.
Yeah. Now here's my question. This is where the question of Mike comes in.
Okay.
Is the wormhole tethered to Saturn? Saturn orbits. It don't stay in the same place.
Right. Well, it would make sense that it
It's spinning. We're spinning. So if it's tethered to Saturn, then that makes sense. Otherwise, 2 years, Saturn's going to be in an entirely different place than it is now.
It's possible, but it's also possible that it wasn't. Maybe it's just close to that Saturn's orbit. Like it orbits. Saturn
Yeah.
comes close to it. I mean, my guess is that it is, but it's hard to tell.
Right.
They don't
Well,
really go
and-
into it, but
And Saturn's orbit is super long in Earth years. So
Right.
it could have been that like they were speaking that it's near Saturn where it is right now. But it's just one of those things that made me question, go like, well, Saturn moves. Does the wormhole move too? You know?
yeah, hard
But
to
they
tell.
had some really great scenes as they were approaching Saturn of space in general.
Yeah.
I really like the way they had Saturn. Like when it was a close up of the planet, it looked amazing.
Yeah. It's
Well,
really
The
good.
wormhole looked cool. I really liked what they did with the wormhole, and I never even thought about that. I had no idea that was even a thing, scientifically speaking.
Oh yeah, the spherical wormhole.
Yeah, that was really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, because you're bending 3D space. You're pushing a hole through 3D space, so it's going to be a 3D hole.
Yep.
And I remember looking at that and the explanation that he gave Matthew McConaughey into like, we're here, we want to go here. This puts the, we punch.
Right.
That was the exact same explanation that was on the movie Event Horizon. And I remember thinking, we all saw what happened there.
Right.
It went to hell.
And I was like, oh,
That's how I feel about that's how I feel about Event Horizon as a whole.
So what you're saying is you deeply respect the artistic value of Event Horizon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I thought they threw a lot of homages or whatever to various, like the robots looking like monoliths to me was very 2001, and
No, there was a
of HAL and stuff like that.
yeah. A lot of the scenes in this movie were like practically a prayer to 2001.
Yeah.
But it was really well done, very beautiful. They go through the wormhole, hijinks ensue on the other side, and they visit a couple of planets. Nothing seems to work out. Problems arise. They visit one planet, and Matt Damon's there. And that's possibly the worst thing that has ever happened to a space mission in the history of time.
Yeah.
Not only do they find Matt Damon, which is bad enough, but he turned out to be an asshole, too.
I would have loved for that scene. I hope there's outtakes somewhere where he's coming out of the water and Matthew McConaughey goes, "It's Matt Damon."
It's Matt Damon. I wanted him like, oh god, when the first reveal, like the little like curtain thing or whatever, they pulled it out of the way, and I was like, oh my god, I just wanted him to stand up and be like, Matt Damon. Matt Damon.
Would have been June. Oh jeez.
That's what I could get for that now, which is like the Matt Damon.
This
Oh,
character was pretty important though.
Yes.
The first planet was amazing.
The first planet was amazing. It was all water, and it was just very close to the black hole, so there's a lot of gravity there, which affected time.
Right. Let's set this up a little bit because they realize early on that it's affecting time, and so they know that if they go onto this planet, 1 hour equals approximately 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
Right.
Of time on Earth. Right.
Time on Earth. So they go down to the planet, and the first thing that's kind of weird when they get down there is they land in what looks to be like 2 foot, 3 foot water.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're kind of waiting around on this planet in this water, and you're like, "This is weird. What's going on here?" Right? And there's mountains in the background, or at least it looks like mountains. Well, as they start looking for the remains of the wreckage of the ship, they found out that it's been all wrecked, and they're like, "What the heck? This ship was wrecked. Why is it wrecked?" Because they send a beacon signal to us, like saying this planet's good. Why is this thing all screwed up? And as they look off in the distance, the mountains are getting closer, and they realize quickly that it's not a mountain; it's a mountain-sized wave.
Wave. Yeah.
And when I say mountain-sized, I mean a range of mountains.
Right.
Like Himalayas are coming towards you.
Right, the Himalayas are coming towards you, all of them. So, they realize quickly that this is what happened to this ship, that this wave just tore it apart. And the reason why they were getting this all clear signal was because the time was different. So, on time on the planet, they just died minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she could have been dead for less than an hour. Her body was probably still fresh.
Yeah, because time moves slower. And time moves slower because it was so close to this black hole.
Right.
Which is it's a fascinating concept in reality. It was and honestly, even if you don't really like the movie storyline, just to see them recreate these theories of science, in a cinematic space is worth it, I think, especially if you like science. So.
Yeah, I agree. So then they get hit by the giant wave and they lose a crew member there because it's important that they do. However, entering the note, but he did not lose the black crew member first. He was a token black guy, but he did not get killed off at very first. So props to Nolan for not killing off the black guy first.
Yeah. Although
Well, he still kind of got a raw deal on this planet.
He did. He did. But
Because he didn't. Yeah, he didn't get to go down to the planet with them.
well, he chose not to go down.
Right, he chose not to go down, and so he stayed on the station. So the plan was to go down, be there as quickly as possible, get back into space, so hopefully no more than a few years pass by for this guy, right?
Right.
2 to 3, I think, is what he was.
Right. I think he's thinking like up to 5-ish.
Yeah. And
You
he
know.
used that time to work on the theory of gravity.
Right. So they think it was going to be, but they of course get hit by this wave. They're down there for like 3 hours their time. So when they get back up, he's been on 21 years he was on the ship by himself.
And he is
23 years, 7 months.
Like when you first see him, you don't know if he's gonna like rage out because he's
Right. Well, how is he not crazy at this point? You know, I suppose he did take some years long cryo sleeps. You know, because he has that option all the time.
Plus, I mean, having the artificial intelligence robots there at least gives you somebody who can banter back with you, so you have a little bit of communication with another being.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than that, jeez.
But it was
go insane.
It was pretty important this because what it did is it set up for the whole idea that they went down. 23 years passed for the guy on the ship, but not only the guy on the ship, but everybody on Earth as well. So they get back, literally not aging more than an hour. Everyone else on Earth, everywhere else, is 23 years older now.
Older. Yeah.
So now they're trying to like find out what's happening with their kids and their family, and just trying to reconnect and watch all the old messages they were getting the entire time. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
One thing I like too is that Matthew McConaughey's daughter Murphy, she doesn't talk to him at all throughout the 20 years. She gets picked up like a see, I done forgot his name again.
Michael Caine.
Right. Michael Caine goes to the house as he's leaving, and he notices her potential based on what his dad said. So he takes her kind of under his wing, and she becomes a scientist and stuff like that. So she's there working on the theory with Michael Caine. But yeah, you don't ever see her. And then like the final one when Michael Caine dies, the big reveal.
Yes.
The equation.
Well, she talked to her dad one other time.
Because
after his son had quit talking to him, and it sort of like lost hope, and then on the birthday when she turned as old as her father was when he left.
That's right.
She talks to him then, and kind of calls him a son of a bitch for not coming back when he promised that he would.
I actually really like this because at first I wasn't a big fan of this whole Murphy not talking to her father and being kind of a bitch. But I mean, understandably speaking, I wasn't a big fan of that. But then the thing to remember is the entire time she's working with Michael Caine to work on gravity so she can go see her father again, so she can be with him. She actually very deeply respects what he's doing and understands it, but she's still very hurt. And it's really good interplay there. I liked it.
Yeah, well, and Jessica Chastain does a really good job as the older Murph of portraying that emotion.
Yeah.
So anyway, 23 years also burned up a lot of their extra fuel that they needed to keep in orbit around the black hole at a certain distance. So when they get back up, they can't visit both of the remaining 2 planets on the list. So they have to make a choice. And Matthew McConaughey is kind of a dick, so he bullies Anne Hathaway into not going to visit the planet that she was her boyfriend, I suppose you could say, had gone to 10 years ago. And they went to the other planet, to the infamous Dr. Man's planet, where they discovered Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Sorry, I can't.
And my whole his whole argument for going there seemed to only be that it wasn't Wolf's planet.
No, that's not true. The argument was this: firstly, that Matt Damon, who was supposed to be a total badass,
Right.
He was supposed to be
He was supposed to be the best of us.
the
right.
best, brightest, and most brave. That was the first thing. So they should go to his planet because he probably has the best results. Secondly, they lost signal from the other guy's planet, so they
Right.
don't know if it's a good planet to go to, taking a chance. Because if they get there and it's not hospitable, the guys stop sending the signal. He could be dead. They don't know.
Right.
His biggest argument was Matt Damon's signal is still broadcasting, and it's still showing that it's a good planet. We should go there because it's still, showing that it's a hospitable planet to go to.
Yeah, but that's no more. That's a better argument because it's also closer to the black hole. You know what I mean? Which they correctly theorized. I think that like the black hole sucks in too many things that you need to like develop life. Like random, comets and asteroids that are going to hit your planet that are going to bring along other minerals and, stuff that you need to develop life. So I think, like, I don't know. It felt to me like he was just bullying her into, like, you only want to go there because your boyfriend's there. We're going to this other place instead.
No, he absolutely
they both had arguments for one way or the other, but he just bullied her.
He absolutely bullied her into it, but I don't think that his argument was only that. He was just doing it
fair
because
enough.
I think he had reasons for it, but they were definitely, there was other underlying reasons,
They had to he had to make this decision. They all had to make this decision just hours after Anne Hathaway learns her father's passing, realizing.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, see, the reason why he bullied Anne Hathaway was because Anne Hathaway says, we have to finish the mission, you can't go home.
Right.
Like, they come back 23 years later, he's like, I'm going home, I'm going to go see my kids. And she's like, nope.
Yeah.
So, and because she did that,
Relativity.
right, so because she did that, he was like, oh yeah, well now I'm going to bully you into going to Matt Damon's planet.
Which I thought it was kind of cool when they're descending into Matt Damon's planet when they finally make their decision to go. And he's like, flying around, and it looks like a typical Top Gun type scene. And then all of a sudden he hits a cloud, and it falls apart.
Right. There's an audible thump.
Yeah. The clouds are frozen.
Right. Now, wouldn't you think that they would have known that?
Yeah?
Okay.
I don't know.
So I'm not the only one who was like, I would have thought, like, as much as he was, like, driving in between them, he would have realized that they were solid.
Yeah. At some point you're going to look at it and be like, that looks a little bit crystal.
Right. But it was a cool scene. I'll grant you that. Right. It was a cool scene. But I was like, well, I think he would have known they were solid and that he probably shouldn't be hitting them.
Well, let's, to be frank, this is what this movie suffered from the most was they have all of this science and all of this highly logical, storyline going on, but they sacrifice some of it simply for these cool scenes, and it's very noticeable when they do that. So that's like what this movie suffered from is they injected this sort of very emotional storyline into this very logical setting, and it kind of suffered a bit for it, but because they just sacrificed the very science that they were working or basing the movie off of for, high impactful, emotional scenes sometimes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so they find Matt Damon. And we get there to Matt Damon's planet, and we're talking to Matt Damon. And eventually Matt Damon, like, after they get there, Matt Damon's like, yeah, no, this world's totally cool, guys. Check it out. It's going to be super great.
Right.
And so they're like, okay. So McConaughey's like, all right, we're going to unload our shit here. And then I'm taking the Ranger back to Earth to try and see my family or whatever, because it's over. Peace, I'm out. They're already going to be super old by then anyway. They're going to be in their 40s or whatever. So I got to get back and see my kids or whatever. Well, it turns out that Matt Damon's been lying to them this whole time. That the world they're on is not worth anything. Now, before we actually get that reveal, we get the big reveal from Earth that P.S. this gravity thing that I've been working on, all a lie.
Yeah, the big reveal.
Yeah. Everything about that, he already finished the theory of gravity like years before Matt Damon even left. And that it's never going to work because they need more information.
And they had already given up on Plan A before they convinced McConaughey to fly out. before Plan A.
Yeah, Plan A was just a lie to get everyone to work together to try and do something while they died, as opposed to fighting each other. You know.
Makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know. Give him something.
Man, I think it's a very dim view of humanity.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like he gave up on him way too soon. But
right. Well, it's sort of like saying like, I don't trust that anyone's going to do the right thing.
I don't think it's a dim view of humanity. I think it's a maybe I'm not going to say accurate necessarily, but I think it widespread. You're not eating. Your planet's dying. You have nowhere to go. Panic's going to happen.
Right.
I think that it was perhaps it was dim, but I think it was most likely what was going to happen.
Oh, I'm not saying they were wrong. I'm not saying that there wouldn't have been like looting and rioting and fighting and killing of each other. There undoubtedly would have been, but it seemed to me like to take away the option for them to have been better seems wrong to me. But
yeah,
it
is what it is.
Are you saying it's wrong because it's morally wrong, or are you saying it's wrong because it hurt the movie?
I'm saying it's wrong because it's morally wrong. I enjoyed the fact that the situation was presented like he made that choice already, and then so it gave you the opportunity to like think, what would I have done in that situation?
Well, Roby, I'm going to give you a chance now to agree with my point of view, and if you don't, I'm going to kill you.
You can assume that I will never agree with your point of view.
Ever, and I'm going to kill you for it.
Okay.
So you can never disagree with me again.
Okay, fair enough. I will expect you to kill me the next time that you see me, sir. Because I will not cave to your terrorism. Okay? I will stand strong.
Yeah, no.
So,
So
so they sort of hit you with all this drama at the same time.
It's like boom. They don't even give you time to really react to it. It's just like boom.
It's pretty crazy. And so Matt Damon takes Matthew McConaughey off on a walk to show him where they're going to put these other biodome habitats down, so to speak. But it turns out Matt Damon then tells him that he was just kidding this whole time. He's lying. His planet's bullshit, and he was a coward, and that he had been giving that signal off, hoping that someone would come rescue him because he didn't want to die alone.
Yeah, he thought he could handle it. He thought he could, accept the fact that he'd probably never see another human being again.
Yeah, he couldn't. And so him and Matthew McConaughey get into a fist fight, and he breaks Matthew McConaughey's visor open.
He headbutts it.
Right, he headbutts it. And there's a 50-50 chance you'll die. And he's like, that's the best odds I've had in years. It was a great line.
Yeah.
Because it really showed you like how absolutely desperate and crazy Matt Damon was. So a lot of people have beef with this because they're like, oh, well, he would have died instantly, once his air ran out. But the fact is that earlier in the movie, they specifically say that the atmosphere has too much ammonia to be breathable for longer than a few minutes.
Correct.
By itself. So he will not, it's not airless. There's air there. He can breathe it. It's just not healthy for him. And he shouldn't be doing it for a long period of time.
Yeah,
right.
But there's more than enough for him to make it to the dramatic rescue where Anne Hathaway comes along and saves him later on.
Right.
Thank you, Anne.
The robot.
Yes, thank you, Anne. But it also is nice because he goes as far as to sabotage the artificial intelligence robot that's with him. Probably, and there's a funny thing, like I was reading on Reddit, and Christopher Nolan got together with a graphic artist and created a 4-page little comic book that is it's basically showing you Matt Damon prior to him reprogramming Kip, the artificial intelligence that he had to be a bomb, essentially.
Right.
Who checks it. I'll post it up to the Facebook page, but it's actually really good. And it explains kind of a lot about Matt Damon's character, Dr. Mann, the early days leading up to when he's like, you know what, I'm turning this back on. And this data is false because I want to see people. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was crazy.
It was kind of interesting because he's like, he just wants to see another human face, and then he betrays that human face the moment he
right,
can.
the very moment that he can. The very first time that he can.
I think when he realizes that Matthew McConaughey is going home.
Right,
he only have then he goes fight or flight, and his option is I'm finishing the mission, and I don't care who I have to step on.
Well, the reason why he did it is because the planet is not habitable. It's
Right.
not habitable, and since it's not habitable, he realizes that the little bit of fuel that Matthew McConaughey is going to use to go back home needs to be used to try and get to another planet or something.
Right. Because he knew all along as well that Plan A was never really an option.
Right. He even comes out and says it like as soon as you find out, he's like, "Oh, I knew about it. We all did."
Yeah.
So
Which is crazy.
that is kind of crazy.
Yep.
So they, at this point, Matthew McConaughey wins because he's Matthew McConaughey. Well, no,
No.
he loses. He gets rescued. is
Right,
what
he
it
gets
is.
rescued. Matt Damon wins, but he gets rescued. And then, at the same time, the black guy gets blown up on the planet because he tries to bring his other robot back online. And Matt Damon escapes in the Ranger because he's going to take the
Endurance.
he's going to take the Endurance and go on and complete the mission. He thinks he's doing the right thing,
Right.
but he's clearly completely off his rocker. And so Anne Hathaway and Matthew McConaughey chase him down in their lander. And this was honestly, I thought, one of the most tense scenes in the movie, and it was really well done. And it was another excellent use of the music that was very loud, and at some points too loud. In reality, some points just too loud. But they used the music, which was really good, to great effect when Matt Damon was trying to latch on and dock with the Endurance.
Right.
But he did it imperfectly. And so they're really doing a good job with like the music building up, and they're yelling at Matt Damon not to do this. And then he pulls the hatch, and it explodes.
It gets me every time I see it.
It depressurizes, and it goes instantly silent.
Right.
You know?
That scares me every single time. Like I'm like, I know it's coming. The explosion.
Yeah.
I know it's there, but I'm like, oh, every time. And I don't know why. Maybe I build it up too much in my head. Maybe the music does a good job of that. But also, I like while that's all going on, there's a fight back on Earth between Murph and her brother, because Murph is trying to get her brother's wife and son some medical attention. So she's trying to get him to go back to NASA. The son's not having it. So she starts a fire in the cornfield. So leading the brother away to try to put the fire out, so she goes back there while the doctor that she brings with him is trying to get the kids in the car. Murph's like, you know what, I'm going to go check out this theory because something that, she's trying to she knows something makes sense with gravity. She's going back up to the room to figure it out. And it's kind of like back and forth. I think it's a really good job. Like when the conflict is going on with Mann and McConaughey, the conflict is going on between Murph and her brother. I don't know. I really enjoyed that. I thought they did a good job.
No, you're right. It really was good. And he does that several times where he paints the sort of like parallel between the two storylines that are going on essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And so in the end, they sort of recreate the scene from 2001 where you have to like match your spin with a docking station and then move in the third dimension of space or whatever to try and dock with the space station. Because the explosion from Matt Damon leaving it totally sends the Endurance spinning off like crazy.
Yeah, into the orbit of the planet.
Into the orbit of the planet, where it's gonna fall to its orbit and die, because it doesn't have any heat shielding to be brought back into a planet. So, that scene I thought was really great too, where like, they're pulling the spin and trying to dock up and everything like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was
People
intense.
turn that up online saying, "Oh, it's impossible. It'll never happen." It's like that may be, but it was awesome in the movie.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I
don't know why they would say it was impossible.
That's the whole point, that they thought it was impossible. That's the point
Right.
of the scene.
Right, exactly. That is the whole point of the scene. Is that it's supposed to seem like it's impossible, but he does it anyway because it's like
it's got to
it's
be done.
fucking Matthew McConaughey, all right.
Yeah, gotta be done.
Oh man. So they save the Endurance, and then he and Tars cook up a plan to that actually was originally the Black Doctor's idea, to that if something gets sent into the black hole, it might be able to send back the singularity data from inside, the quantum data from the singularity, back out before it actually got destroyed. Right. So what they're gonna do is they have very little fuel left. So they cook up this plan where they're gonna slingshot around the black hole and use that to propel them, and then they're going to burn the last of their fuel and send the Endurance on towards the last planet where Edmund Wolf was, and that's gonna have to be good enough. Like if that doesn't work out, then we gave it our best shot and it's over. Right off the human race.
Been saved. Yep, we're done.
Yeah, that's all they can do at this point. So, and then Matthew McConaughey lies to Anne Hathaway about being there with her, and they send just Anne Hathaway home by herself, and Matt goes with TARS into the black hole. And this is where things get questionable for the first time in my mind.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, it's the first time that I went, I don't know about this.
Right. But they supposedly survived the black hole and go inside, into the singularity, essentially, where these beings, who are 5-dimensional beings, have given this area of, a 3D area of time as well, to express to, that Matthew McConaughey's brain can understand. You know what I mean? And he's there, and it's basically his daughter's bedroom all these years ago. And we find out that he was the ghost who was sending the messages all along.
Right.
Well, okay. First of all, the area that he goes to isn't just her. It's rows and rows and rows of her bedroom in different points in time.
In time, right? Literally every point in time.
Right. It's just infinite rows of this. So
right.
Yeah.
In all 3 dimensions, in all 3 directions.
Well, and I want to kind of touch on something that Anne Hathaway's character said at one point in the movie that I really liked, where after they had lost the 23 years, he's like, "Wait a minute, you said time is malleable. Can we go back in time? And she's like, "We can't do that." He's like, "Yeah, but you said this, about these beings who can do it." She's like, "These beings that created this wormhole, they're 5-dimensional beings. Maybe to them, time is like a canyon where you can climb up it or go down further into it. But that's not what we are. We can't do that. And so it kind of lends a little bit of credence to this place that he's in. And
it was really good foreshadowing.
They referred to the pearl and the oyster, which I thought was good.
Right. So, anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so we see that he's been the ghost all along, and he finds a way to communicate with her, and he ends up sending her the quantum data that TARS actually did get, and she uses that to essentially save the human race.
Yeah, he gives it to her in Morse code through the second hand of a watch that was given to her
right
on the day he left.
This is my biggest issue with this movie. And you know what? Maybe it's entirely possible. Maybe I don't know enough about quantum physics and their calculations to know whether or not this is possible. But he basically sends this entire equation or set of data. I don't know what it is exactly. It's something so that they can solve the problem of gravity.
Right.
Okay? It's the data they need because they didn't have enough information, but now they do. But he sends this, I'm assuming, very complicated set of data in binary. Or no, in Morse code.
Morse code, yeah.
Yeah, in Morse code. Yeah.
I
would assume that would be awfully hard to do.
Yeah. But
it was being fed to him by Taurus, who was with him, was telling him, ... dash and what to do. So.
Right, but it seems like it would be
Taurus
an
is the true hero of this movie. He's the Samwise Gamgee of this movie.
Yeah. But he just, it seems like an awful lot of code, or not code, but data to have to send through.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he had an infinite amount of time in that space. I don't know.
Right. We're assuming at that point, time doesn't really matter for him,
Right.
But how long does she have to sit around and stare at the watch, and does it repeat?
Why does it keep functioning after she leaves?
Well, I thought about that.
Yeah.
the way he's manipulating in that three-dimensional space that he's in, the different time, since it kind of covers all aspects of time. I mean, he could easily be doing it at one time for him, but it could easily be in like every instance of time for that watch could be doing the same thing. It's my opinion on that whole thing.
Yeah, if you look back, you can see there's some other time when she picks up the watch, like earlier, before the final scene where she figures it out, and the watch is already doing it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So it very well may have reset, like looped over, but at some point she would realize she's going back over data she's already got. She'd be like, oh.
Right. So, well, like I said, they don't really explain it very well, and they don't have to, because,
Right.
But, and I kind of didn't like all of those scenes at the end, but it didn't ruin the movie for me. I still really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
Well, there's some slightly contrived parts to it because once he sends the data, he gets ejected out of. Did he call it a tesseract?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Taurus called it a tesseract. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets. They say, oh, the tesseract's being closed down, and he gets ejected out of it, and basically put back into deep space, kind of floating there. But right at the precise time that a patrol's coming by to pick him up, or
he gets put
detect
out
him.
right beside Saturn.
Right.
And there's a station already in orbit there.
Right. So that station picks up a signal and comes and rescues him before he runs out of oxygen.
Right.
So the thing here is, but as he's being like ejected out of the tesseract, at one scene in the movie when they're going through the black hole, or the wormhole rather, I'm sorry, they're going through the wormhole. There's some kind of weird being, weird time thing that happens where it's kind of coming into the side of the ship, and then Anne Hathaway's character reaches over and touches it, and space gets all distorted and crazy looking. And then after they stop, they're like, "Oh, what was that?" She's like, "It was a handshake or something, first handshake, right?" And she's all taken aback by it. Well, you realize that that's Matthew McConaughey because as he's getting ejected out of the wormhole, he's kind of traveling through time, so to speak.
Right.
And he goes right, so he goes through that time period where they're going through the wormhole, and it's Matthew McConaughey actually touching her hand, as this weird light being or whatever. Because they did whatever to his body. There's any number of things that could be explained here, but that's what they did, and I really didn't like that. So it just felt a bit like unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, it felt like a very Hollywood ending. Like they can't let anything just end on a that was unfortunate. You know what I mean? They have to always have like the perfect they get reunited. Like he gets reunited with his daughter later on or whatever, and they have the scene like, "Oh, I was your ghost. Yeah, I knew it was you." I'm like, do we have to end every movie on like this feel good note?
Right. Yeah, it's actually the part that I dislike.
Just like as a tragedy.
Yeah, it's the part that I disliked because it was like, all this stuff happened and he couldn't just like make the sacrifice. It wasn't a sacrifice at all. He didn't make the sacrifice. The sacrifice he made was losing time with his kids, but that wasn't that bad because she got over it.
Right.
Yeah.
Over it, and he got to see her again. So
right. And then
fulfilled his promise.
Meanwhile, when he comes back, of course, she's really old at this point.
Yeah.
She's super ancient because he gets basically shit back out into space like years later from this whole incident.
He was like 120 some years old or something, I think is what they were
saying.
Yeah,
well, when they slingshot around the planet, they lose more time to relativity.
Oh,
right.
When they slingshot around the black hole near the end.
But it was the only thing they could do. So, more or less, he then, he goes to see her, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay. You shouldn't have to see me die because I'm your kid, but you should go find, Anne Hathaway."
Yeah, go find Dr. Brand.
Right. She's out there by herself somewhere. Yeah. You send her off to the other planet. So he steals a ship and runs off to find her. That whole ending I did not like. Because I would have much preferred it been a sacrifice. And this, as morbid as this might sound, Matthew McConaughey dies. Anne Hathaway starts another colony somewhere else. And, at this point you can have a whole other epic story happen. But now it's just going to be if they decide to do anything else with this. Because they left it open enough to be able to.
Yeah, theoretically.
If they decide to do anything else with this, it's going to be a shitty Anne Hathaway, Matthew McConaughey rom-com.
Oh, God, that would actually be awesome. I would watch that shitty rom-com.
Oh,
He shows up and she's 60. They have like that May-December relationship the opposite way.
Right. Yes, the May December
Called,
relationship.
called Space Cougar.
Oh, there's all kinds of like shitty, funny lines about having nothing but a bunch of like clone babies and stuff.
Right.
Man.
Oh, like she's on a planet like the queen bee of a bunch of like literally she just starts hatching girls. Okay, because honestly that's what you need. You know, and so she's like the queen bee. There's like a whole bunch of women who are all being artificially inseminated. Oh man, it would be hysterical. I would watch that movie. This needs to be a short film now. Is all.
Hopefully
Oh,
they don't
God.
do anything else with it. They just leave it alone. I think it
Oh,
needs to be left alone. You know.
I really doubt they will, but
yeah, Nolan's pretty stickler about when he's done with things. So.
yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. Nolan doesn't own it. He just he walks away. He's done. But they're like, that made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let's shit out another one. Oh, Nolan's not available, or he won't do it. That's fine. We don't fucking care. We'll just shit out another one, and it'll make money.
Gravity,
Right.
Which I'd probably go see it if he did it, but whatever. But yeah, so
Indeed.
that is Interstellar.
It's really good. We talked for a long time about it.
Yeah, we're over. Quite a
We're
bit.
well over.
Well over. All right. Well, hopefully next week we'll have some more information for you on Dragon Age. When we will be doing it next week is yet to be determined, but we will update that on Facebook when we find out.
Yeah, we're thinking Friday, but we're not sold. So.
Yeah. One theory that I actually read about Interstellar is that the five-dimensional beings that come back are actually the descendants of Brand and that colony from the future.
Well, there was a theory that that Matthew McConaughey says when he's in the Tesseract that hey, maybe these five-dimensional beings are just humans.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
We're
in the
trying
far
to
future.
save ourselves. We know that
Right.
this is the point where human has to advance, and I mean, some people are like, well, that creates a paradox then, because then they would constantly have to do it. And it's like, well, no, they exist outside of time. They only have to do it once, and then
Right.
everything will just repeat itself throughout time as is, but they only have to deal with it one time.
Yeah, it creates a paradox to your tiny brain, but if they're five-dimensional beings and they
Exactly.
don't see time in the same way, it almost doesn't matter. like your concept of time literally doesn't matter to them. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
anyway,
So, yeah.
all right, we'll go ahead and close it up then, Ryan.
We're gonna go shut down. Thanks for coming out. Hope you enjoyed it. If we spoiled it, good. You've had plenty of time to go see it. But yeah, tell us your thoughts on it. If you got any questions, we're down to talk about it. Theoriocraft.
Enjoy your Theorios, kids. Oh, man.
All right.